we're continuing with quotes in alphabetical order. We're on the letter S, and the next person is Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He is from Russia, a Russian author. He's most famous for writing a book by the name of Gulag Archipelago. Okay, he was a brilliant guy. He had fought in World War II with the Russians against the Germans, and he was part of a tank squadron, successful in defeating Germany. You know, drove their tanks through Poland and into Germany. Okay. And, he came back to Russia expecting to be celebrated as a hero, captain of a tank squadron, victorious. But instead they were like, you have been corrupted by the West. He's like, what the F? And, he was a math teacher, science teacher. He got himself in trouble for criticizing some policy or something. Stalin threw his butt in jail for a while. And when he's in jail, he saw a lot of things that kind of surprised him. He saw just the brutality of the Russian leadership at that time, the Soviets. And he started to realize that it was all based on atheism. So the average, ignorant pro going to the public schools, they don't understand. Atheism is fundamentally evil. And all you have to do is look at what it says about you. Christianity says you are created in the image of God, therefore you're part divine, you're a little bit like God, you're also part beast, but you are at least part like a God, such that you deserve to have natural rights, you deserve to have free speech, you deserve to have privacy, the right to own property. You are different than all the other animals. Okay? That's pretty good stuff. And Jesus Christus said, that what you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. So nobody should mistreat you. Okay, here's what atheism says. Atheism says you are nothing. You're just a biochemical accident. You are of no significance. You have no rights. You are just like a chimp that talks. So you should shut up and obey. And if you don't like it, we'll bump you off. By the way, I want your daughter in my bed. There's nothing you can do about it. Go F yourself. No, I'm taking your property away. You have no right to it. Go F yourself. That's what atheism is. Okay, and if you don't understand that, then you have not read any history. It's been this way since the beginning of time. If you go back, paganism and atheism aren't that different, okay? Once there is no God up above, what that means is whoever is in charge from a secular point of view is in charge of everything, everything. If they want your daughter in their bed, they get your daughter in your bed. If they want to just feed you to their dog, they feed you to their dog. They can do whatever they want. There are no rules, there are no rights, there is no such thing as right or wrong. The only rule is power does whatever it wants. Okay? And that's why the powerful always want atheism, because it means they can do whatever they want. It means polygamy. Some of the Roman emperors insisted on a different woman, a different young woman in their bed every single day. Okay? And the family says, no, we don't want our daughter to be in the emperor's bed. They bump off the whole family. She's in the emperor's bed the next day. So the people have zero rights. If you think you deserve no rights, if you think that you are just a talking monkey, then go ahead. Then you can believe in atheism. But if you actually know any science, if you've studied origin of life, the Cambrian expansion, the immune system, the eye, the mitochondria, anything in biochemistry, it's too amazing to have happened by accident. The human genome, 3.3 billion base pairs of DNA, a book that complicated, it can't write itself. If you saw your name written in the beach, you would know it didn't happen by accident by the water. Somebody who is literate had to write it, some intelligence. So don't you think it takes an intelligence to write 3.3 billion base pairs, a human DNA code? Well, this is relevant because the stupid proles of the Western world are accepting atheistic Darwinism, and what it means is that they deserve to go extinct and they're going extinct. Okay, so it's just how it is. You don't have to like it, but that's a fact. And it also means you can't really have real science because everybody just sells out. If there is no right or wrong, then why morally accept a loss of money when there are no morals and you can get more money for lying? You have no obligation to the proles. Nobody has an obligation to the proles. It's every man for himself in atheistic Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Okay, let us continue. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Atheism is the core of the entire Soviet system. Atheism is what makes it possible. It seems more and more apparent that even with the most sophisticated of political maneuvers, the noose around the neck of mankind draws tighter, and there seems to be no way out for anyone. Yeah, because most people at a fundamental level, they're just stupid, and the vast ignorant masses are talked into anything, so the smart people get dragged into it too. You know, me and my genius brain, I'm going to get bumped off like all the other stupid proles. There's nothing we can do about it because there's just too many stupid proles. And the stupid proles just, whatever's repeated to them, oh yes, we believe it. We believe anything. We believe the opposite of what we believed yesterday because the experts said so. The experts are all fake. Okay, all the experts that are approved of. The experts that are not approved of, they're like me, ostracized and shadow banned out in a corner somewhere. Okay, here's a quote by Norman Geschwind. Although science has replaced religion in the minds of many educated people, the unquestioning belief in the virtues of scientists may be as misinformed as the older faith that the clergy were always the true repository of spiritual values. Yeah, most scientists are liars. The vast majority of papers in the medical journals and the scientific journals are not legitimate. They can't be reproduced. 80% of cancer research can't be reproduced. It's bogus. Okay, what is it? I forgot. It was like a couple years ago. I looked at the data on how many papers had to be retracted in 1 year. 23,000. And you know there's tons more that should have been retracted. The medical and nutritional literature has become a joke. The corporations just pay to get whatever results they want. Okay, Solzhenitsyn continues. You must understand, the leading Bolsheviks who took over Russia were not Russians. They hated Russians. They hated Christians. They were driven by ethnic hatred. They tortured and slaughtered millions of Russians without a shred of human remorse. It cannot be overstated. Bolshevism committed the greatest human slaughter of all time. If you look back at the 1900s, between what happened in Germany, Russia, and China, atheistic rulers in those three places killed more people than all of the wars ever in the history of recorded mankind put together. That's just a fact. The most violent, intolerant thing there is atheism. It is the source of mass murder by orders of magnitude, exponentially more than anything else in the world. Now, Christianity tells everybody to be nice, love thy neighbor, and be good. And yeah, believe me, a lot of people, they don't follow it like they should. But at least the system is in place that that's what they're supposed to do. They're under pressure to do, and they're judged by that. So at least it pushes them in that direction as much as possible with imperfect humans. Okay? So Alexander Solzhenitsyn continues. The fact that most of the world is ignorant and uncaring about this enormous crime is proof that the global media is still under control. What would it have been like in Russia if during periods of mass arrest, people had not simply sat there paling with terror at every bang on the downstairs door and every step on the staircase? Okay. If I was asked today to formulate as concisely as possible what was the main cause of the ruinous revolution that had swallowed up some 65 million of our people, of Christians. So the Soviets killed 65 million Christians. They burnt down 48,000 churches. And that's what's coming to the West as it continues to become atheist. He says, I could not put it more accurately than to say, men had forgotten God. And that is why all this happened. It's the same as the Old Testament. Look at the Old Testament. As soon as the people turn their back on God, God turns his back on them. It's always been that way. What does religion mean? Relegare, legare. Legare means to ligate, to tie together, to unify a people. Why do you think is this bullshit about diversity? Diversity is our strength. No, diversity is the strength of a secular ruler to divide all the masses so they don't get along and they're arguing and fussing about their pronouns, about some other bullshit, about their race, their sex, their gender, their unfair treatment. The more the masses are all disunited and arguing and fussing with each other, the easier it is to control them and to do whatever you want with them. Handle them like a bunch of stupid farm animals, okay? And that's why diversity is promoted, to destroy the public. When I was growing up, America was a melting pot. You come to America, you are an American. You're no longer a hyphenated American. You are an American. Okay, and that's how it should be, because then everybody was pushed to get along and have things in common. But now it's everybody's pushed apart, and the country's just going into the garbage can. Okay, Solzhenitsyn continues. Men had forgotten God. That is why this had all happened. The press has become the greatest power in the Western world. Modern society is hypnotized by socialism. It is prevented by socialism from seeing the mortal danger it is in. And one of the greatest dangers of all is that you have lost all sense of danger. You cannot even see where it's coming from as it moves swiftly towards you to destroy you. To destroy a people, you must first sever their roots. And that's why we have all this rewriting of the history books telling you the American founding fathers were bad, evil, racist. The American founding fathers were the best founding fathers of any country ever in the history of the world. They were magnificent. Look how great these men were. You know, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Patrick Henry, Samuel Adams. Good luck finding great men like that in the founding of any other country, okay? So they rewrite the history saying America was founded like on a bunch of piece of crap racists and it's evil and it's racist. Oh, yeah, right. If America's so racist, why does everybody want to come here? All these different ethnic groups that whine and bitch about racism, they don't want to go. They don't want to go back to their own countries because their own countries are third world crap holes. They want to be here. Nobody wants to go to those other places. Everybody wants to come to the Christian country. Then they come to the Christian country and they say Christians are jerks. And you're like, well, the only reason you're able to be here is because it's a Christian country. Try going to a non-Christian country. They're going to go, get out. We don't want you here. Get out. You come to a Christian country, they're like, welcome. You know, just do your work and get along with people. All right, so Solzhenitsyn continues. To do evil, a human being must first of all believe that what he is doing is good. He needs an ideology. This is what gives evil doing its long-sought justification and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. So that's what they do. They tell you, oh, all these Christians, they're intolerant, they're racist. Even though Christianity is the most tolerant, non-racist thing in the whole world, they'll say they're intolerant and racist. Bump them off, bump them off. Get rid of the Christians. Once the Christians are gone, where's the moral foundation? There is none. Time for slavery. That's what's coming. Okay, Solzhenitsyn continues. He says, the generations coming out of the Western schools nowadays are unable to distinguish good from bad. Even those words, good and bad, are considered unacceptable. This causes impaired thinking ability. Yeah, they're stupid. Look at the joke the universities are. They don't know a man from a woman. Multiculturalism, you want to pretend all cultures are equal. They're not all equal, okay? European civilization, you know, was building cathedrals, okay, in the 1100s and the 1200s. Other places in the world, they're living in mud huts and teepees, okay? They're backward ass, okay? The Europe in the 1700s and the 1800s, you know, it built the steam engine, all the industrial factories. The standard of living was going up through the roof in comparison with previously. Other places, they're throwing rocks at each other, okay? I mean, there's a big difference. Let's be honest about it. Modern science came from the Catholic Church. There's nothing ambiguous about that. Okay, the next is a quote by Arthur Koestler. He's a guy who had written a lot about communism. He said, the suppression of all criticism, the insistence on unconditional assent, the dictatorship of the word has wrought immeasurably greater havoc than any kind of free and responsible criticism has ever done. Yeah, free speech, people sometimes say things that are rude, unfair, not nice. Whoop-de-doo, okay? It goes away pretty fast, all right? But on the other hand, if there's no speech allowed, then bad things happen, and they happen over and over, day after day, and nobody can correct them because they're afraid to say anything. Anyways, that's part one of Solzhenitsyn quotes. Hope you found that helpful.